Hello, I'm Zoid. I have a course called Foundations of Electronic Music, where I teach people how to get better at composing and sound designing and basically being able to imagine music in their head and then make it. That's the goal of my course. There's a couple days left to get a bonus, which is currently running, where you can get 6 Zoom mastermind sessions as an extra when you get the course, worth £300. So I have a click of that link below. So there's one student on the course actually who about a year and a bit ago gave me the idea for making the course just in an email conversation. Joel, hello, thank you for that. And recently in an email conversation, a few ideas came up, bouncing back and forth. In this video, I'll go through them because I think they're useful things you might get some use out of. The first one is the idea of performance versus composition. So let's say the difference between performance and composition, it's a bit like the difference between improvising and composing. One is in real time and one is in non-real time. That's the main difference to me. So if you're composing your music, sitting at a DAW, tapping in notes, trying things, changing them, that's composing. But if you're got boxes like electron stuff connected together and you're jamming and recording what you're doing live, that's performing. And those two disciplines have very different, what do they have? They have very different, they have similar goals, which is to make a good piece of music, but they have very different energies to them. Okay, very different set of pros and cons, I suppose. But in the performing mode, you capture a lot of energy and it's exciting and it's fun doing it that way. But it's really difficult to get a performance captured which is as good as what you could get if you were composing. You know, let's say like a 1 minute section of a track. Okay, you could spend weeks, you could spend like a few weeks working on that 1 minute, tweaking it endlessly to get it as good as you can. You could record it in performance and you'll be like, oh, I have to do it again. I have to do it again and again and again. For 2 weeks, it will still take 2 weeks. Well, they're very different disciplines. In both cases, you get bored repeating the same material. If you're performing and you're bored, you won't capture the energy. If you're composing and you get bored, it's the same thing. You don't capture the energy of the initial idea. When you first have an idea and you're working on the thing, you're so excited about it, and then the next day you're like, either, oh, I don't like that anymore, or you like it, but then eventually you're going to start hating it because you're going to listen to it so many times over and over again. So what's the point of this performance versus composition? I mean, you definitely can combine the two. So you can have your composition, but you record performances in there. And actually, I heard Paul Hartnoll from Orbital yesterday in a masterclass saying this, that when he's making film, he's a film music composer now, when he is writing music to film, he thinks it works much better to record things like filter knob movement, filter and resonance on the synths. He thinks it's way better to do that live rather than program it in with automation, because you respond quicker to cues like dialogue or whatever. You just react to it. That's the thing about performing, you're reacting in real time. That's why playing music with people is so enjoyable. Like playing jazz with a group, you're connecting with them, you're reacting and conversing, having a conversation. And it's good to get that into your music. But at the same time, I've thought about this for a really long time, that if you're playing like freely improvised music with people, it's really fun to play, but very few like to listen to it. You know, go out and try and play free improv music and see how big the audience is. It's not ever really huge. Because who wants to go and hear something that they've never ever heard before? Very few people want to go and hear music that nobody's ever heard before because it's never been written and it's just happening in front of your ears, and it contains a lot of risk then. But I've gone to listen to music like that and I like it, but I'm not a normal type of person, I suppose. Also, I don't do that. I don't go to those gigs often, but I would be up for it, a little free improv gig, sure, yeah. But on the other hand, when you're, the other extreme is you go and hear someone playing a live set, which is an hour long, but it's all pre-programmed and they just hit play and then you hear the music. And you don't really know when it's like that, but you know that they're not reacting, okay? And like, someone does react to the crowd. If someone's playing live modular stuff, there is a reaction going on. There's a live feeling going on. Anyway, I probably went on way too much about this, but it is interesting, this performance versus composition. But yeah, meld them together and make the best of both worlds. In the end though, we're working with a recorded format where we're trying to output a recording at the end and have it be as good as possible. So using elements of performance and composition in there makes sense to me. Anyway, on to the next point, which is another kind of binary thing, which is simple versus complex. And simplicity versus complexity is like constantly balancing act in music. You can have very complex ideas if there are very simple elements going on. So for example, 4/4 techno beat, bass drum on 1, 2, 3, and 4, snare on 2 and 4, or clap, and a hi-hat on the offbeats, like a million other techno tracks. But you can put like a really complex repeating melody or chord or any weird sound on top of that beat, and it works because the beat's so simple. Okay, make the beat super complex, and then it's not going to work if everything is super complex. If there's super complex timing and super complex harmonies, super complex, at a point it just becomes too difficult to understand, to follow. I've made that mistake loads of times with my music. Everything's too complex, so no one can follow it. But if you're super interested in complexity and you explore that path, you go to the extremes, good for you. So have fun doing that one day. But chances are the music that you love the most has some simple elements in there. Apex's music is, I go on about that mostly in this channel, but a lot of it, he does explore complexity at times, but a lot of his best loved tracks, they just have very simple melodies. April 14th, very simple melody in there. Dun 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 dun. It's just triads. It's so simple. It works because it's simple. Yeah, there's interesting chords and other things going on, but that's the balance. You see, if you have a simple melody, you can do other complex things. Window liquor, simple, one note. There's a complex rhythms going on in window liquor, but the melody's so simple. Aphex tends to have simple melodies. Okay, Boards of Canada, simple melodies. Tekra, some of their stuff's too complicated for a lot of people. Yeah, I haven't even listened to probably like a tenth of all of the music they've released. I've listened to the main albums and I have my favorites, but if you ask people what their favorite Tekra track is, Tear or what's that one, simpler beat ones maybe are more popular. Anyway, I'm not trying to equate like popularity with what's good, but popularity, I do believe that it has some reflection on what is objectively good. Well, that's another conversation. But anyway, Bach's music nearly disappeared, but it didn't. It came back, and the world loves Bach because he's great. Is it all complex though? No, definitely not. He's got his lovely simple melodies. But anyway, that's a different... Okay, on to the next one. Oh, if something sounds right, you do it. Okay, this is to do with, I've had a lot of times in my life when I'm seeking validation, I'm making music, I like it, I think it's good, and then I'm like questioning myself, is it good? I want to hear other people say this is good. What? What good is that? I don't know. It just is something you seek. Not everyone, just is. Sometimes some people feel like they want validation from people they respect, okay, and they go looking for that. I did that, and other people do that. But when you make music, the book stops with you, and sometimes that is, you just have to say, I like it like that, and I don't care if nobody else likes it. That is how I like it, and I'm having it like that. And then do it again and again, and whatever. I guess it's important sometimes when you seek feedback, if you do, that you don't have to go with it. Now, my normal response when I get feedback on my music is that I at least try. If someone says, I don't think that section works, or try this other idea, even if I am not sure, or even if I doubt that will work, I still try it just to see. And quite often I've found that it actually does sound better to me, trying something else. And I think that helps to repeat that process on your own. I'm able to listen to my own track, and I just have a better instinct now for, oh, that's not working, I don't like that sound, change that, and I can kind of do this feedback loop process on my own much better. I didn't used to be able to do that as well. I used to make a track and then be like, it's great, and then it wasn't great. So that's super important for your development in music, is to make something and then have a feedback loop going on where you're improving it until you can't improve it anymore. Then sometimes you get external feedback from someone else, and it helps you improve it further. You get more energy to put into the track to make it go further and further to get better. That's all the entire goal is, to make it get better. Okay, but in the end, you make the final decisions about the direction. It's all you. You are the director of your track. You are in charge. So if it sounds good, then do it. And lastly, different sections of music. It doesn't matter what kind of music you make, actually, all music, it must change as it goes on, okay? Well, there are examples that are quite extreme that don't follow that. For example, like there's music that is just a drone for 10 minutes. It's not changing. Well, even that drone is changing. You listen really carefully, like the Monte Young piece. What is it? From the 32 high tension step down line transformer from the Four Dreams of China. By Monte Young's like 8 muted trumpets playing a C for half an hour. And then after half an hour, some of them start playing a G. So there's a C and a G for the next half an hour long piece. Something like that. So, that's minimalism, nothing much going on. But when you listen to it, you can get entranced in this tiny little micro changes that are going on between the muted trumpets. And then, after half an hour, a C and a G, your mind explodes. It's amazing. But that's extreme. And in most music that we listen to, dance music, pop music, song, whatever, jazz, you're listening to change. You're listening to something that's changing and evolving. So whether there is an A and a B section, like there is in songs, verse, chorus, or whether there's no A or B section and it's just one section evolving, which I call modular form, modular structure, where it's like, say a beat continuing, but something else comes in, a bass line continuing. So there's blocks of elements, blocks of beats, blocks of bass lines, and then a synth part, a chord part, and the change is created by these parts coming and going. So it's not like A, B, it's more like different blocks and they continue throughout, but not throughout, they come and go. And the interest is created by some of them happening together and then some of them happening apart, whatever that. So back to the idea of sections changing. Well, here's one of the really difficult things to do in music is to get an A section to change into a B section that complements it and doesn't lose the thread of your ideas and evolves the piece and makes the whole piece better. Okay, and Apex really is the king of doing this because, you know, April 14th, or there's so many tracks where Window Licker as well, the same two I mentioned before, you know, Alberto Balsam. Well, there's many Aphex tracks where you're listening to an idea that's really good, but the way that it develops into another idea, which is even better, very complementary, it's like, wow. A lot of people aren't able to do that. They just take it as far as where Aphex takes the A section and it's good. But by having more and even better ideas following it that are connected, it's even better. And it's really difficult to do that. So here's just a practical idea for you. If you have a section, chords, melody, you know, whatever it is, you can take those same chords, notes, and either use them, but a different amount or different length or different order. Just use the same materials, but shift them around. You'll get a variation, and that will be a different section, but it will be different, but it will still be connected. So that's a practical idea for how to develop one section to another. Okay, you have to basically though come up with many ideas, and then you only pick the best ones. Okay, if you just, I'm guilty of this many times, is first idea that comes good enough, and then you end up with something that's good enough. It's not great though. So, you know, track I'm working on now, I've tried many things for the melodies. I'm on like version whatever, 8. I'm still not happy, so I'm still looking for better melody. And maybe there's too many sections, I'm gonna drop some out. So, you know, this idea, you're kind of mining your mind for gold ideas. You're just, you know, keep trying, and, you know, if you have 3 ideas, the best one will be however good. But if you have 100 ideas, then the best one will be better. Okay, it's like that quantity idea, just like doing a lot of stuff and picking the best. Okay, well, that was the 4 recent things. Maybe I should have made 4 videos rather than one long one. But anyways, I hope you found it useful, and I better edit this and get it up and do a billion other things. Behind on stuff. All right, so if you're interested in the course, there's a couple days left to get a bonus, which is currently running, where you can get 6 Zoom Mastermind sessions as an extra when you get the course, which is worth £300. So have a click of that link below. See ya.